Hello everyone. Today I want to make a special video, and since my content is mostly educational, right? I want to use the example of Zcash to see what your organs can do in the future. I think this is the moment to study other charts, sentiment, development, and how you feel when you see this, because that's the real test, right? Everything looks easy in theory. In hindsight, when we already know what happened next, it's easy to identify divergences, overheating areas, and all that. But when you are going through that, before any of that happens, what do you do, right? So I've been analyzing this coin on Discord, and we've been tracking the development. First, I normally take a look at the weekly. This is, you can see the Fibonacci's for reference. And the weekly, in this case, we saw that since June 24, first we have this huge bullish divergence. Well, actually, it would be more accurate from here. Bullish divergence forming from May 23 to July 24 is like a whole year, right? But the whole year still chopping and even printing lower lows, but the divergence keeps forming. So you can either play divergences in high time frame or wait until the structure looks better. And that divergence starting to play out slowly. I'll remove this for a second. And you can see the structure started shifting, right? Started printing higher highs, higher lows. Here some compression, right? No divergences, nothing. So this also in RSI was shifting. But let me tell you that no matter what you read out there, no one knows if this is going to happen and when, if it does. All we can see is divergences in high time frame. The longer, the stronger. But going through all this is making you feel that this shit is cooked. And then you start the structure, you start shifting. Sorry, seeing the shift in the structure. But again, this is about patience. The best and the biggest money in crypto or in any other market is made in high time frame, and you can see why. Because if you try to only focus on the daily price action, you will get a lot of noise. And if we've been suffering like PTSD all these months, I said on Twitter and also on my Patreon that PTSD is going to be key, because we all are gonna fall into the trap of over-analyzing because we have suffered and we don't want to go through that again. So we're gonna try to over-analyze, trying to spot every single perfect area to exit, perhaps re-enter again, and that's dangerous, especially if we really enter in the full sin area like this, and you're left behind after waiting for so long. So here is the tricky part. How long do you hold? What are the areas of the signals you track? And this is when reading the whole market is key, right? Because we have seen Palantir, Robinhood, many stocks going crazy for months, Nvidia itself, and people calling for tops for a whole year or more, simply because it looked overextended, it has to stop. But you need to analyze the whole market. If the whole market keeps pushing, those stocks, in this case, become leaders. And there is a difference between riding a breakout and strength or chasing. And I will show you, because last year, I was, not last year actually, late 2023 into the top in 2024, I rode injective. And you might think that it was late. That's what low time frame addiction does. 20% move, people think it's late. What are your time frame? Are you playing for the whole cycle? Are you playing for a swing trade for a week, 2 weeks? So let's get into it, and I will show you with data. So far the weekly, I pointed out on Discord that it was reaching with a daily divergence to a 0.786 retracement. So that was the area where it could really stop for a bit and retrace. And it did, but not long enough, because this coin is really strong in high time frame. But at the same time, it's getting overheated. So we're going to analyze the structure plus current development of the market and overheating areas, right? So first of all, this is the weekly. The weekly hit 91 here before a retracement exactly into the golden ratio when the whole market crashed pretty much. Zcash was already pushing, so it really didn't get hit that much. And from there, it started pushing again. Second impulse from very overheated areas, to me, in my playbook, my experience, is dangerous. But at the same time, the whole market is riding this because as the crypto market is still stagnant, it's still PvP, rotations riding what's moving, and that's it, right? This makes you feel this will never stop. And then when it does, you look back and say, okay, it's the same with gold, right? Gold kept rising and rising and rising. 4.4K, it was never going to stop. This time it's different. And then it collapsed like 10, 12% in a week and a half, which is a lot for gold. And it's still there, right? So weekly wise, some warning signals. Structure wise, it is breaking this area. So ideally, by the time it corrects, it holds 380.85. Let's say it goes a little bit higher, overshoots a little bit, comes back up. And that could be, I don't know, like a 30-40% correction, pretty normal after a huge 10x, because this has been a 10x. And of course, at some point it will take a breather, right? On the monthly, it's even crazy. It's 89. But again, you can see how the structure was shifting, how the EMA was reclaimed and retested and holding. So this could be seen as a matter of time, but you need to be patient for that. It's pretty much like this. The structure started shifting. At some point, it ran. How high? We don't know. It was actually disappointing in 2021. Why is it pumping so hard now? No one will ever know if this is going to happen. And this looks awesome. This is kind of an old season price action, even though people don't believe in it anymore. But that's why we stick to data here. And now it's reclaiming an area that can be huge for the next impulse, at least to cross this area. I don't count this as the all-time high, right? I'm measuring from this, which was more like a more reasonable price action. So it might cool off at some point, but I want to show you why the daily divergences can be tricky, right? So this is the one real divergence that matters, which is very like a buying climax, very overheated into the next one, right? And in this case, it was this run. And this is the tricky part, right? It corrected decently, by the way. It was a 37 correction. That's enough. And right into the golden ratio, the next Fibonacci level that we've talked about, right? So the thing is, where do we stop measuring divergences? In this case, when it was getting here, this candle that again eventually closed below this area, I commented on Discord that it could be on its way to extend the divergence, right? It could be dangerous. So I said perhaps it touches this area and rejects. The thing is, it eventually closed below, so there is no divergence. And now, this is the tricky part of divergences. How far back do you go? And when do you determine that the divergence has already played out or not? It's really tricky. That's why no one knows. You can have an estimation. What I see now is after this big correction, this new leg in RSI started here. You can see that mimics price. Higher highs and higher lows. So for now, to me, this is healthy. A new healthy leg. That doesn't mean that the weekly is getting quite overheated and for now printing also starting to build a divergence. Even if it doesn't, there is no need to always print a divergence to revert or to pause, right? It could just be something like this, right? And it keeps moving up. But you have to think about the risk-reward ratio of entering here. It looks great. Sorry. It looks great because it's going up. The rest of the market isn't, or pretty much the whole market isn't. And it makes you believe that this is it. This is the move that I've missed, and now I chase. And this is how you buy green candles and get fucked. As simple as that. So when it's chasing and when is it riding a trend, a breakout. So when I bought Injective, let me show you here. I had a plan, right? So let me remove my tracking data. I didn't ride the lower part of the cycle, the first leg of the cycle. I rode at around $9 was around here. Yeah, October. So my plan was it has already corrected and cooled off the first leg, right? It went sideways, and when I saw this reclaim on the weekly, right, I started paying attention again, right? Because I could buy here, and who knows if it's just a fake out, and it took longer, right? But this is the 9 here. This is the candle that I bought. The breakout candle, right? It started at around 9, something 9. But this is the breakout candle. So together with this, and after this whole correction from since April into October, enough, with a structure holding pretty well and pretty much building an ascending triangle again, looks like demand is strong here for our next impulse at least. I rode it here. Then eventually I sold at 38 on the way down, but it's all good. It's from $9 something into 38. So you have to you just don't follow blindly. You need to know what the market is doing. The market was doing great, was starting to break out again in October, right? So actually, if you compare it quickly with BTC, this is why you don't take decisions blindly. You always need to follow some kind of plan. You can see the BTC was also breaking out. It's not just some random time to do it. It was BTC had been chopping, so Injective was pretty much mimicking BTC at that point, right? And then it chopped earlier. So then you see the quite overheated 95 on the weekly. You know now how Zcash looked like 91, and it's on its second leg. And then it started this kind of distribution area. Some people might say this is reaccumulation, but you need to know how it all looks. This is buying climax on the weekly, 95, losing DMA. So the question is, what's the risk reward here? To hold or even to add when it's been insane. And then you go to the monthly and you have 84. Zcash 83, 84 as well now. So it might look like it can go up forever, and you can also end up back holding all this. Yeah, but an old season is coming apparently. Yes, that's what I still believe. It doesn't matter, you can just simply rotate out of this, right? Or just take a breather, go sideways or correct a little bit, and then have another impulse, at least into breaking all-time high. You don't know. All I'm trying to say is everything looks like it's never gonna top until it does. So this is when your entry, your risk appetite has to play. Here, Cardano 2021, 88 on the monthly. Took a breather, second impulse, 86. Even a third impulse just after correcting hard in summer, 60%. You don't know here if it's gonna come back up. So this is risky. And on the weekly, it reached 95. So it looks similar to Zcash, right? But it looks like this is it, guys. This is the play. You've been missing out. And then you have this big weekly divergence after it stopped for a while. So this is what Zcash could do at some point. Just go sideways and build another impulse. And that could be it for it, right? Some people don't believe that. But you can take a look at Fed or Injective and how the whole market is looking better. And these coins look, for now, their own top is in, right? You can see that the monthly reached 87 clear levels of all season top areas. Big impulse here, 93, with a run from the bottoms, a 62x from the bottom, right? And for now, lower highs and lower lows, this looks terrible. And could it really pump back up if the whole market moves? Sure. But in my opinion, it would be an exit pump for all these trap money. So perhaps it does something like this, and that's all. So what I want to say with this is pay attention to Zcash, study other coins, don't just focus on your own. See how it all reacts, because with gold, everything looked awesome. It would never stop. It was insane. Governments were bidding. It was wonderful, and this time was actually different. Yeah, I don't know. Monthly also super extended 91, but this is a blow off top, right? And this is something that we could see in crypto. From blow off top, you can see the monthly resetting without going much down, and it kept going up and up and up. But it's very risky to hold and trade this. So if you bet for an excellence as your base expectation, as your base target, that's how you round trip it all, especially with altcoins when they can go south really quick. But that's when you analyze the whole cycle. What stage are we in? What might come next? So pay attention to that. Study these coins. Don't waste your time just going AFK until your backs move, because there are many, many lessons from now in the market, many real-time tests for your strategy, for sentiment on X, check how everything looks and down, and then how it all develops later. The same way everyone has been fucking bearish for weeks, and now you see several altcoins rising again, and you start seeing a post about if it's too late to buy. It's the same freaking thing every cycle. So pay attention, study, guys. You have plenty of time. The market is giving plenty of time to learn, so it's up to you. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. See ya.